Welcome to the Buzz, everybody. My name is Jim McManus. I'm from Party Rental Ltd. I'm in the hospitality industry for 30 years, niche of Party Rental Ltd. And we have this amazing panel today, really brought together by Mark Casaburi. I want to thank you and At Your Service for sponsoring this the Buzz, trying to get some communication, some collaboration, get some insights from some amazing leaders that we have the pleasure and really like to spotlight everybody here. So I want to introduce everybody really quickly. Patti Golden, hello. You're with the Statue of Liberty in Ellis Island. You're a venue person. You're also an amazing person. We have Bill Coyne for Cloud Catering and Authentour. We have Thomas Preti. We have Carl Hedin.
Hi.
And of course, we have Erica Taylor with Tinsel Designs, Experiential, I should say. I just really would like to frame this in something that Mark and I have been talking about, which is a little bit of a poem that I wrote on seamanship. And what it basically says is we're all in the same storm, this pandemic, but we're all coming at this in different boats. You know, we have different responsibilities, different niches, and it's affecting us differently. But we do need to recognize that there are some seamanship qualities that will help us all survive this pandemic, this disruption. And I really want to start off with Patti because I'm a writer, and I wrote a poem reference to being inspired in a storm by rainbows and crepuscular rays. And then one day I'm on LinkedIn and I see this amazing inspirational photograph of the Statue of Liberty with these crepuscular rays shining down from heaven on the Statue of Liberty. And it was an inspiration of hope for me. And for somebody who's emotionally connected like all of us are in this industry, I just was so inspired by you, by your messaging. You weren't showing pictures of what kind of events you did. You were showing pictures of hope, inspiration, opportunity with Ellis Island. And then we all went out to Cater Source together. And I listened to you with Ronnie Davis and great performances. You had great courage to go out to Las Vegas at the beginning of the pandemic. Nobody knew, but I really would love to hear from you because I'm saying that you're an ambassador of hope and you're much more than just a venue manager and a sales executive. So is everybody else on this call, but I wanted to put the spotlight on you right now. First off, as an ambassador of hope, you know, you've had nothing, no events, mostly cancellations and postponements, but you've come through with amazing messaging. So please, Patti, give us a little bit of an introduction to the way that you've responded to the pandemic.
Thank you for all of that, Jim. I mean, I feel like I was probably in the same position as every one of us on this Zoom call right now in dealing with overwhelming cancellations, postponements as everyone was calling them, yet I didn't have a date for when it was going to be rescheduled. Hopefully 2021, maybe the fall, but I mean, we're still in that kind of limbo, or at least I am, in the uncertainty as to when and if these events are even going to take place. So I found myself just becoming, just sad and down and overwhelmed with the inability to control anything that was happening. And I started to, and then my marketing, of course, was cut because when there's $0 coming in, there's not much money to help promote for the future. And I just didn't feel right about lavish parties or a strong sales mission in promoting the venues, and decided I was lucky. I love where I work. These two incredible national monuments standing for liberty and hope and opportunity. And I just went with that. I just started to look for, instead of the event photos, which I still do put in there too, here and there, but I went with more of the scenic and what these monuments truly stand for in my social media posts, and kept them simple and just called them, inspiration and more to come, and use the New York tough and the event strong, because I truly believe that eventually we are those type of people that are never going to give up in this industry that we love so much. And soon I will be posting lavish party photos again.
We will. It's one thing, Patti, to not do business. It's another thing to be not able by government decree that you can't do business. And this has really been an emotional roller coaster ride for everybody. And I just want to really appreciate you personally, because beyond words for me. It's been inspirational. I had goosebumps. I reposted your picture. It was just amazing.
Thank you.
There are different other types of ambassadors of hope, and I really want to turn to Bill Coyne on this one with Cloud Catering. And we, in the special event industry, there was a book out called Hot Box, and it was about what happens behind the curtain, and we're a very invisible group. We're not like the celebrity chef at the restaurant where everybody's going to see Thomas Keller or Daniel Boulud. We're actually, if we do our job well, we actually disappear. And during this pandemic, there are some people that became outright invisible. And I'm honoring Bill Coyne as an ambassador of hope, because he created a GoFundMe page, an effort to bring visibility to the cater waiters, the people that are forgotten in this pandemic. And we are so invisible. Our people are forgotten, and not only are they forgotten in terms of special events, but many of our special events are amazing performers and performing artists. Bill is amazing performing artist. But Bill, I want you to tell us a little bit about why and how you decided to step up to the plate and bring attention with your fundraising effort for Serve New York.
Thanks, Jim. That's I really appreciate that. Working in the catering industry since I was 19, we all kind of, I look around, we're at the Museum of Modern Art or the Metropolitan Museum of Art, and, I might be in a suit, but I always look at everybody who's next to me and I'm saying, we're all the help. So, we kind of have this attitude.
We're all grunts.
Yeah, exactly. We're all the happy servants. Will, the managing partner of Cloud, always says that to his kids. They're like, Dad, what do you do? And he says, I'm a happy servant. Mm-hmm. So, no person is too big for any job. We all unload the trucks. We all set up. We're all there at all hours. And, you are in the trenches with these people. And, my background in the company, I started off as a captain working for a lot of the best companies in the city. And I kind of took all of my experiences and I really helped build the team at Cloud and develop the staff, I don't want to say in my own image, but with the people who I really was able to jive with and really connect with. And we had a really great team and a really great culture on our front of house. I like to think we had the best in the city. And, it was very sad and harrowing to look at all these incredible people who, populate our staff. And not only are they great cater waiters and bartenders and captains and talented in their own right in that field, but most of these people subsidize their pursuit of their performing arts passions with the flexible income of special events. So just on the Cloud staff alone, we had an actor who was in the Pulitzer Prize winning play Sweat at the Public Theater that transferred to Broadway. We had one of our female captains was in the Broadway touring company of Pippin. One of our bartenders was on the FX TV show Pose. So we have writers, we have dancers who are part of modern dance companies, and you develop relationships with these people. And I think that that's what we're seeing now more than ever, the value and importance of relationships. And having lived, hand to mouth, paycheck to paycheck, and understanding what they were going through and knowing that the viability of both industries was very much in question and tenuous at best. We kind of wanted to do that. And I started it with Colin Barnard, who used to work at Sony and Castle as the director of sales, because I worked for Colin. I would captain Colin's events. And Jen Huron, who's a freelance event producer who used to work for David Mon and Brian Raffinelli. And we all just were talking about what can we do? What can we do? So we started Serve NYC. Sorry for my long-winded diatribe getting in there.
It's very important that you frame what it is, because it is about people. We're an emotional business where connection with people is everything. Lead with our emotional intelligence in a lot of different ways. And but that's not all we do. I do think there's a correlation between a great performance of a special event and maybe a great performance of when it comes to acting. In fact, that's where maybe Liz Newmark got her name, great performances as a leader in the catering business and employing people. I want to touch base in a different kind of an ambassador to hope, because we all have a role to play and we're in different boats in this one storm. I want to turn to Carl Hedin for just a moment, because not only do we have to lead with emotion and inspiration, and we have to lead with compassion. Thank you, Patti and Bill. But we actually have to lead with innovation. And I know that everybody on this panel is doing that. Specifically, Carl, I've gone back 30 years, when you were at Tentacion, you were a food stylist, you were a marketing specialist, you grew to Kirsch, you morphed into Thomas Preti. I heard that you were originally with I didn't know that about you, but what I'm inspired by is the thought that went into and the marketing campaign and the thinking and execution of a new idea, how to get there from here, wherever that is. And I've been impressed with Preti Set Go, as a new innovative way to approach the way people think about food, maybe the way that people think about service. But you just weren't another caterer opening up a box store. You were Preti Set Go. And I'd love for you to inspire us all about some of your thought processes. How long did it take to conceive? Because I noticed you didn't jump into it right away, but when you did come in with Preti Set Go, you became a leader.
Well, thank you, Jim. And you are one of the few people that know me for so long. But I have had the opportunity to work with many teams and wonderful people in the industry. I've heard, with Patti and Bill, those touch words of emotional roller coaster and real and sincere communication and caring. And it's, all of that is a story that has been played out for the last 3 months. But I wanted to give our sales team a voice, and we didn't want to pivot. We weren't going to pivot. We wanted to create an item that was core, that was priority and consistent with our core, our product. We are known to produce, highly creative and complicated events and high quality of food and service associated with that. And within the last 3 years, we've started to implement experiential elements to what we add and all bring to the table. So we wanted a product that was in line. We weren't going to be the caterer that you could call and say, okay, we'll pick up your snacks for the weekend, or pick up it just wasn't us. So we chose to reinvent and create a product line that would be an extension of our core business and not a departure. Something that would thrive when true catering returns. And what could we give our sales team to speak about that was realistic? Because we're living in a time now that, as you said, Jim, there are no parameters, there are no guidelines. We can't be the experts in our field because the state has not mandated or allowed us to be. So it's the most frustrating thing, as you can imagine, from a sales perspective. They're touching their clients, they're reaching out to their clients, but they can only approach them emotionally and from heart to heart, because we are about that as well. So Preti Set Go was an idea that what can we control? We can control a beautiful, deliverable experience that is curated. It's a curated 3-course meal, and it's presented in a package like you've not seen before. And it's not, there's nothing really like it in the marketplace. So we're meeting a need by the brandability of this box, the contents of the box, and what are people looking for now? They're looking for something unique, special. When they share that big moment of entertaining and getting together, which is a huge priority right now, and they want to do it right. And so the personality behind the item, because it is brandable and experiential, the quality of the food, and the security of our business that we are known to execute. It's going to be so safely presented. It's going to be delivered on time, and your worries are lessened. So we now have given our sales team a voice. They can actually call and speak to their clients about something that is real. Yes, you want this, we can do it. And we can add service if you would like. We can add floral, we can add other elements to it. And we can build an event for you at this present time. And that was the biggest motivation behind it. And then when catering picks up, this product line will stay with us, and it will just be a subcategory that works very well with catered events. Yeah. So it's really like a special gift, and that's what everyone needs, is something very special. So
and it takes such innovation and continual innovation. And I just want to compliment you and everybody else who's on this panel, because innovation, I don't believe that we first of all, the word new normal means absolutely nothing to me. What makes me is the constant evolution of where things have been going for the past 20 years. You've been a trendsetter for 20 years, 30 years, sorry. And so is Mark, and and in many of the different roles that everybody else. And you mentioned, I think we're all on that page of new or normal. I don't think it ever was. And it's where you go from here to imagine, reinterpret, reconfigure, rebuild, reopen, whatever you got to do. And you do it with thought. You do it with style. You do it with Ambassador of Hope concept. And I really thank you. It leads me into one of my next panelists, Erica Taylor. Carl mentioned a word that is really your company, experiential. About 6 years ago, I made a statement at a party, a Brian Raffinelli party, and with some other top event planners and caterers, and I said, luxury is dead. And what I meant by that is that there was a transition. Part of it was generational, the baby boomers giving way to the new and upcoming decision makers and the younger crowd. You and Bill obviously represent that in this panel. But the word experiential to me, it's so hard to describe and I don't think I'm very good at it. So, I think you have to show me what it is. But I wanna say, Erica, you jumped into this business in 2010, and within 10 years, with this vision that you had and execution and old new concepts and shaking the tree and bringing people out of their comfort zones, leading with innovation, leading with hope. You actually got ranked, if I'm not mistaken, like one of the top 10 in the world event designers by Harper's Magazine. And what an acceleration of, from concept to execution to being top 10 in the world in a decade. I think that's a record. So congratulations to you. Yeah. And you also use one of my favorite expressions, my favorite human, so you're also very emotionally connected, but it's actually being in the right place at the right time with the right vision, your background and as an ad person, I want you to give me your own words. What is experiential and why are you leading it? And how did you become a leader in the experiential economy?
Yeah, thanks so much, Jim. So for us, when we started the business, we didn't initially seek out to be in the luxury market. I think that obviously there's a price point that makes that enticing, but for us, we knew that our brand of events and experiences, our aesthetic, and that feeling that we wanted people to walk away with wasn't in line with the traditional definition of luxury. I think that some people do that really well, where they lean into volumes of flowers or candles or certain color palettes. And for us, it was really exciting for us to shake things up and really play in a different space that, it was different. And, having people walk away with this shared memory and experience. And a term that I really love to use is collective effervescence, right? Where it's that electricity in a space when, there's this crescendo of music or performance elements or a surprise and delight reveal that, only you and the people in that room have ever seen or experienced that. And it could be something that, again, is just a very, musically inclined something. It could be another sense outside of the visual. I think so many times events rely on sight as a sense, and that's it. A room, it looks beautiful, or that tablescape is gorgeous, or look at those linens, which all of those things are super important, but they all ladder up to this more collective design where you're thinking about what is the fragrance of the room, or their auditory elements of the space that make this, that holy shit moment. I've never experienced something like this before.
I've had a few of those.
Yeah, I walked away from this party with a tattoo. Like, I'll never forget that experience because it's literally on my body and will go with me wherever I go. So that's our brand of luxury, if you want to call it luxury.
I actually don't think, I think it's quality, but luxury redefined. Like one of the things that you did an 11 house event, which is one of your own parties that you did, and
that we've done together. Yeah,
I remember getting pizza delivered in a box to the party, and all these people, they didn't care about the presentation that the pizza was in a box. They wanted good pizza.
Yeah.
Some of the old norms, the old brands, the old ways, the generational divides were all broken down because we all attacked that pizza pretty.
Exactly.
I did,
Yeah.
But and I also love the concept of experiential as being engaging with the customer, not only the customer, but your event team, your group of vendors, and your relationship, your strategic partnerships. It's a very engaging process.
Totally.
Love the word essential because that's sort of like where we're moving now outside of experiential. But I always believe that experiential is always going to be essential.
Oh, totally. There's so much.
And no matter how things morph. So things are getting more fundamental now, but there are new opportunities. And I want to turn to the 99 million pound gorilla in the room, and I'm going to ask Mark to take this. We did a survey. What do the people out there in the hospitality world, what is their number one concern and their number one question? And one of them, and I have to turn to you, Mark, because as an ambassador to Hope, At Your Service did something I think that was very courageous. It's like the first responders running into 9/11 buildings. You decided at the outset of this pandemic that you were going to open up a new division of At Your Service, specializing in health care events, the healthcare community, going into the hospitals, going into the nursing homes, going where nobody wanted to be, and taking care to safe, be responsible. But you know, these are the heroic warriors of the new world. These essential first responders, the doctors, the nurses, the guardsmen that built the hospitals, and you know, it's this whole why did you go into that? Because the question is going to go into, everybody wants to know about the new safety protocols. We've had lots of conversations about this, and we've actually spoken to people in the hospitals, in the nursing homes, and a lot of those people in the very beginning actually came down with the COVID-19 serving others. And I think that they jumped very quickly out of the need or necessity, and what we learned out of it and where we are today is certainly not where they were on day one of this. But please, Mark, please give us a little bit of insight into your ambassador of hope to going where nobody would normally want to go, which is into the right into the disease epicenters, hospitals and the nursing homes. And what do you learned? What are the protocols and the training, and and now you're staffing them, but you're also staffing the rest of the hospitality industry with these new protocols. And please enlighten us a little bit and give us some insights in what were you thinking jumping into right into the belly of the beast?
Yeah, that's a perfect analogy. I don't think you know, my dad is a retired New York City fire chief. So he would always tell us when we were growing up, it's the only profession where people are running out of a burning building and another human being is running into it. So he was really speaking more about 9/11, but that's an interesting analogy with where we've taken our business now. We decided, using what Carl said, he said something interesting, like they didn't want to do a pivot, and we call that a panic pivot. We didn't want to do a panic pivot into a panic pivot for us. We have other people in the staffing industry. They're putting their staff in hazmat suits and going in there with the chemical, and that's great, and that's what they want to do. But for us, that just would take too much of the hospitality out of what we do. So we decided to do, Jim, you've talked about the bridge. How do we bridge from 2020 into 2021? So we looked at our client base, and we saw the healthcare industry and their needs that they had. And we thought, what a great way to help out, and what a great way to learn all the COVID protocols and get used to all the, how do you put on the PPE, and how do you work even in a catered environment within a hospital or a nursing home. So what we will get all out of this, this will all be, I really think within a year or two, it's going to be something relatively manageable. Things have changed, but it's not going to be ever life-changing. And we're going to now have, as a company and our service staff, we're going to have that background of the health, of the hygiene,
of the
protocol and all that. So we
and
try
health
to do
and
the
safety.
Yeah.
And I wanted to drive home the point, because everybody on this panel we're focused on health, responsibly being safe, not just for ourselves, but for the entire community of the events, the guests, this is real. It's not solved as we speak today, and everybody's taking it very seriously. My dad was a dentist, and he was the first dentist in the state of New York to operate on HIV patients. And he always came home and said to me as a young son, "I know what I'm doing, son. I understand the virus. I'm protecting myself. I'm helping people that really need help, and doing it responsibly and safely." And I think that's where we all need to be. So one of the things we all have to deal with is something I'm talking about strategic partnership as we execute what these guidelines are, what these wellness screenings could be. I can tell you from Party Rental's perspective, we're going to be surfing the venues of the world, and we're going to be being asked to be a good partner to them. And they may have guidance for us to follow. They may very well include things like wellness screenings where you get asked the 3 questions. Have you been out of the country? Have you been exposed to, COVID-19, anybody in your home? Or do you have any of these symptoms? And it's not one thing, a temperature check, all these things. It's going to be a combination of lots of little things that we do, wearing the PPE, I should say, all those, as we move forward. I'm specifically interested because I speak with, great leaders, venue leaders like, the Jacob Javits Center that obviously turned their venue to a hospital. And they're in the process of building 1.1 million more square feet of event space in New York. They're not slowing down, but they are going to have guidances. And Patti, you're somebody that, if you've ever done an event at Ellis Island, there's rules and regulations, that are pretty strict. You can't get into place without the bomb sniffing dogs. You have to pretty much, give away your firstborn to be able to get on the premises, but you guys are going to be implementing the guidelines that are set by the government, and you're going to enhance your current guidelines, in order to achieve safety for everybody. I can imagine that that's, part of your planning right now, because you're still probably a number of months away from getting to that point. Like, I believe the Jacob Javits Center is talking about October, about when they're going to just get to that point where they'll be able to start, enforcing it. But I want you to talk about strategic partnerships, because I believe what's going to make this happen is who you're doing business with, who you trust. Are they following their guidelines? Whatever the guidelines are from the state, the government, their own personal responsibility. But it's who you do business with now, and Party Rental, and what you've been doing at Ellis Island. We're already a partner, but we're going to have to speak to us about how you rely on your strategic partners.
Well, I think too, to go back on what you were saying about our security and the strict security we have in place already is actually due to the crisis of September 11th. So I feel like every one of our rules and regulations, and a lot of our rules and regulations are also about the protection of the monument, but I think they're built on a crisis. So, having the bomb sniffing dogs, the metal detectors in Battery Park. Well, we had the bomb sniffing dogs, but like the metal detectors, security tents, all that came post 9/11. Right. Where prior to that, you could just step on a ferry and come over. So I do see new safety regulations being put in place. We actually submitted them to the Park Service a few weeks ago just to open our restaurants on both islands. And on a positive note, we're hoping mid to end July to be back open this July, not the fall. So we were pretty excited to hear about that. And I think that things are going to be, they're going to be things that we want to put in place for safety, because of course that's our top concern: staff, the day visitors, the event guests. But I think it's all going to be mandated and become pretty, what's the word I'm looking for? It's going to be the same for all of us, right? The policies that vendors.
We all have to be in compliance with the big plan.
All right, thank you. Yes, compliance where I feel like it's going to be structured and not all of us developing it individually.
Totally.
And I think that that's going to get born out of, what Mark is doing, to tell you the truth, because where we've had success in fighting this disease has actually been in the hospitals and nursing homes and those places. And I'm very curious to hear you, Bill, about how you at Cloud, and, eventually Carl, for you as a caterer, both of you being caterers, how are you approaching the health and safety protocol in your own niche? Because you're also dealing with food safety, which I think everybody has always been an expert in, because, the food danger zone, I've been hearing about that ever since I opened up a textbook. But, we're in a new unknown world of how are you guys, Bill, how are you doing it at Cloud?
Well, I think it's just about the consumer appetite, for lack of a better word, for this knowledge. This stuff has already existed for a long time. It's just obviously awareness and concern is greatly.
Awareness is a great word.
Yeah, and obviously there are some new mandates from the government which we're following regarding to social distancing. Wearing masks, wearing gloves when we're prepping items. We actually did a party with you, Jim, at PRL. We had our first dinner party. We had a lovely young woman reach out, and we planned a 60th birthday and retirement party for 25 guests on the Upper East Side. It was a private residence and was the first event that we had done since closing our doors. And, basically we talked through the client, adhering to all guidelines. And, all of our servers had masks. All of our servers had gloves. Our chefs had masks and gloves. And then the guests kept their distance. It was an open air event. And then they sat down to the table and they were all friends and family. And it was just like a good old party again.
Well, that's fantastic. And, part of my father, who was a great sailor, always told me, when the boat is sinking, there's no better bailer than a panicked man with a bucket. And what that means is that every single bucket counts. And, right now, maybe it is going to be that 25-person event. And maybe the, ABT Gala at Lincoln Center isn't going to be there this year. They will be there someday.
Yeah.
But every bucket counts. So tell me, Carl, how are you approaching the protocol and health over at Thomas Preti?
Well, from moment one, we started a service program providing almost over 1,000 meals to New York Presbyterian, a field hospital. So that kept our kitchen busy, but it also educated us extremely well in the protocols of safety for food service and execution. So that oiled the machine there very, very well. We already had standards, but
you're enhancing them.
We were enhancing them completely. And then right now, what our protocol is and our standard is being driven by the best industry task force document that's been put together by professionals in the industry, Alan at Gotham Hall and other individuals. We were consulted on it also as a document that's been submitted to the state for consideration to help us roll out. It is a serious plan for how we are going to clearly and concisely handle from the point of entry from our staff to the exit, from covered meals to secure changing rooms to everything. So
you put a lot of thought into it,
I mean, God, everyone did. And we have to
Right.
have.
And
some type
everybody on this call has put a lot of thought into it, and that's part of it. And Patti, I heard that one of your strategic partners came up with a hashtag pledge about this. Can you
Oh,
tell?
yeah, with NYC and Company, actually. I think they just launched it last week. I still need to sign it, but it's going to be Stay Well New York City. And it's going to be something that can be promoted all over venues, any kind of attraction, any kind of restaurant, bar. And
we all need to take the pledge for our own personal responsibility to do the best we can as individuals and companies to do this safely, responsibly, and together.
Well, we might also all consider what we're looking at is a safety officer, whereas we had a sustainability officer at every event. Right now, that's going to be a sustainable, as you would book a captain or a waiter and such, you're going to book a safety officer. Now that next year that might morph to a safety and
I think the
sustainability
sanitation department inside the events is probably where a lot of the most concern is. So I could see a safety officer and being a sanitation officer that deals with the practices, healthcare practices inside of a kitchen, inside the back, and then lead the front of house. I mean, I think that's a phenomenal idea.
It used to be something that you would not push forward, really. It existed. How would you use the word, the unsexy sanitation person?
Unsexy sanitation.
Now it's something that comes forward. It's in bold on your proposal. It's
well, maybe if we have good uniforms, we can look a little more sexy as
and I think a lot of it's about just like, to Carl's point, like it falls upon us to educate the client and consumer as to how they're being taken care of. And Erica talked a lot about experiential, and Jim, you brought up experiential, but what I think is going to be the most pronounced marketing tool is the service element, the hand holding, the reassuring, the education that we as the people who are the sales rep can empower our clients to make the best choice by putting all of their fears at ease and by giving them all of the information that we have in our power to make them feel comfortable to deliver that service experience,
which would make Cloud Catering an excellent strategic partner. I'd have to say. So I want to talk about disruption for just a minute, because in the last 20 years, we've had a black swan event every 5 years on average, which means that a black swan event is an event that it caused catastrophic results of business disruption, personal disruption. We lived through 9/11 in New York City, which was until COVID, it was the grandmother of all disruptions, but we survived that through innovation. It didn't destroy the social catering market. It just sort of destroyed the corporate market. It destroyed Manhattan, and didn't have a single event for 9 months, and we've only been 3 months into this. So, that's pretty good. But then we had the financial catastrophic 2008 when the greatest recession since the last depression hit, and then we had a Hurricane Sandy, and now we have COVID-19. I'm gonna move to a little bit of an open dialogue on this. I know that Erica, you actually joined the work with Tinsel 2 years after the second Black Swan, but the courage it takes to jump into to do what it takes to be a leader, and that's the word, in the middle of all the disruptions. And that's why I so much appreciate everybody, Mark and Bill and Carl and Erica, and you guys are constantly on this. The only thing that's been constant in the last 20 years has been change itself, and it's been major change. And I've been in this beautiful viewpoint where I see, people like, Thomas Preti Catering and Cloud Catering competing each other, competitive advantages by being who's being more innovative during this new trend, whether it's the trend of, the specialty diet trend, the organic farm to table movement. I could go on and on about how things have changed, how they went from buffets to creative stations, and culinary excellence and service excellence and image, and oh my God, all of that has been leading. But now we've got what I'm calling the perfect storm, when all of these disruptions are simultaneously here at the same time. One of the biggest disruptions I'm looking at is the disruption of technology itself. You saw what Amazon has been doing to the brick and mortar. It was pre-COVID, it was coming. And as a result of COVID, it gets accelerated by, 10 years. I thought, Erica, I thought you guys were going to lead the experiential movement with just amazing, boom, 8 weeks, it's over, as we know it. And, so one of the questions that we talk about is the whole concept of the question, advice on how to expand and how to redefine growth strategies. And, I like to do it. I'm going to lead this one myself, and I'm going to talk about what I call Johnny Appleseeding, which means we sell like crazy into nothing. We open up new markets, as get new attention, so that when we reopen and rebuild, we don't reopen and rebuild in a linear way. We're going to open and rebuild in an exponential way. And, I want to hear from everybody about what are you doing to Johnny Appleseed, to spread your opportunity and growth strategies. I want to start with you, Erica, because I've actually seen some amazing things. I'm watching Tinsel in progress. I've seen Colin Cowie pivot. I hate the word pivot. Move in a forward direction in his Thrive concept, which is trying, as a designer, he's reimagining the transformation of space, whether it was a retail space that went bankrupt, and who's going to reimagine that space. And you're a designer. And what does that look like? And what brand is going to get on board with it? And are we changing the old brands to make new? Erica, I wrote a poem to you one time called The Asteroid.
Yeah.
And it was a poem that basically said, don't be the dinosaur. Here comes the asteroid.
Yeah.
You better start planning your, you don't want to be the dinosaur. You don't want to be an ostrich with your head in a hole.
Yeah.
So how are you going to Johnny Appleseed? And I want everybody to sort of tell me in their own Johnny Appleseed way, how are they expanding new markets?
Yeah, well, Jim, you already mentioned our Tinsel in progress, so thank you, my best hype man and PR machine. But for our team, we took the last couple of months to, in a mindful way, connect with a lot of our clients, our peers, our colleagues, just to understand what people were feeling, what their frustrations were, what their pain points were. So again, I think Patti mentioned it, or Carl, not in a heavy-handed sales way, because it's just not appropriate or effective. I mean, if
the old soft shoe is working better.
Exactly. I'd rather spend my time watching Netflix, instead of selling into a void. But, for us, it's just having human-to-human connections, and that's so much about what our brand is about, and letting it be known that we're here to be a partner, a support, and a problem-solving mechanism if we can. So with that, we built this structure. And again, I also hate the word pivot. We've been saying it's a 4-letter word and not my favorite 4-letter word. So we're not pivoting. This is a set of possible solutions, or at least a way to start the conversation with people that, if there's a pain point around bringing people back to an office, for example, and what is that feeling, when people are coming back, it can either be a really terrifying and stressful and anxiety-ridden experience, or it can be something that feels like someone thought about it. It feels like it's got heart and humanity in it. Or, what's the new winter event, a holiday party that maybe used to be 1,000 people crammed into a venue, probably not going to happen in the year 2020. So what's our iteration of that? And again, Patti mentioned it too, like what are our consistent practices to make sure that across venues, across spaces, catering partners, entertainment, et cetera, that we're all doing similar things to give that comfort to our clients, where they're not like, Patti over there told me this could happen and you're telling me this can happen. So what's the right answer? But making sure that
with the
all
right
united
strategic
in-
partners, we can do it. We just have to do it maybe differently.
Exactly.
Things that we worked a little bit together in trying to transform a cafeteria into a party space, because the company that was they ran into a problem due to Zoom, that their employees aren't really coming into the building anymore. So you don't have to feed them lunch, and then you have to have this transformation space inside the buildings. They've never had a need to do that. But I noticed that you came across a little resistance from the older brands that were sort of like, I'm out of my comfort zone here.
Yeah.
But you know what? Now they're really out of their comfort zone, So, I'm very impressed, and I just really honor the whole concept of, what design is, and reimagination, and all these phenomenal words that we're all part of, But tell me, Carl, how are you, Johnny Appleseeding?
Well, I think it links to, thank you so much for the intro. I mean, how we're achieving that is through the Preti Set Go product, I think. Because how it's going to happen is there's going to be the continuation for the, maybe a future for the hub and spoke, let's call it, event, where people are, there's the hub, there's the central event, and then all these smaller events that take place around it, right? So we can step into that venue, or those smaller venues now, in multiple venues, and provide something unique and special. And I think that what's going to be amazing in that is that we're meeting a demand, because everyone needs the virtual event right now. They need to be able to produce a gala for 400, 200 homes. We're dropping off a meal, bottled wine, and it's experiential. They're going to link it up virtually in an amazing way. They're going to be able to build content that is impactful. People are going to be listening, and they're going to be more invested in the nonprofit and what the mission is. I think that the possibilities there are amazing, because I think people are willing to give and in the comfort of their home. And so we're Johnny Appleseeding by providing a need, this experience that is very high quality and very unique and special. And because I think that's going to be the story for a while for galas and for small events in when people
get their confidence back, that they can go.
Their comfort.
It's really a consumer confidence concept, and that's where trust comes in. Strategic partnerships come in. Bill, you've been Johnny Appleseeding in a lot of ways at Cloud. You've been going into new markets that you've never really looked at before, as this is Cloud, but Cloud now and Cloud then and Cloud where it's going to be. We're all under the cloud, Bill. So how do you, Johnny Apples, what are you, obviously smaller events, you never used to be going into the, private party of 25 in Manhattan. That was really not your niche.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, we all are, how do we get there from here? And, like when we were in the building phase of the company, we would do all of these marketing events, whether it was getting, myself and 4 cater waiters in a van and driving out to Ralph Lauren's Bluff and Amagansett to do a private dinner party. That was something that we did to kind of promote the brand awareness and generate buzz. And now I think all of us, Carl, myself, all the other catering companies are going to have to really assert our value in the new marketplace, and you know, how do we provide, and again, I go back to the human experience. Like we've talked
Yeah.
about the power of technology. I think the one piece about special events, I do think it's technology immune in a lot of ways, because we're providing a service, and that human experience, that exchange, that, you know, guiding
At the
someone.
point of execution, you're right, but maybe before that, there's tremendous technology.
Sure. Yeah, and I mean, you know, it's interesting. You brought up the small social event, you know, and we talked about the financial crash of you know, the early aughts, and what that was like, and what I think is going to happen now is we are going to see the social events be the bridge, because people are still going to get married, people are still going to want to have a small group of people who they know, love, and trust will be adhering to social distancing and guidelines and being tested. They will trust those people in their homes and in their backyards. And then, to be honest, I think now more than ever, the nonprofit entities are really suffering. So I do foresee that market really rebounding. We actually are producing the New York Botanic Fall Gala as of now. We were supposed
Congratulations. We'll keep my fingers crossed.
yeah. And we were initially supposed to be doing the spring function for 600 guests. And, you know, Buckley Hall is a production company that works with a lot of nonprofit entities. And we've been working with them. We've been doing the ABT Gala for the last 4 years.
Well, one of the things that I've heard, and I follow Governor Cuomo, they in their guidelines for the state of New York, they're doing something called table quarantining, where they're allowing 60-inch round tables of 10 at a gala, as long as that table is distanced from another table. And they're actually saying that if the parties agree in advance that they're going to sit together, you can't have a communal table where they all haphazardly get together, but they're going to allow, for reasons of contact tracing, you know, tables of 10 to sit together.
I thought that was really smart what Carl said about the hub and then the spokes of the event. And like,
right. And you might have to arrive with a mask, and you have to be cognizant as you socially getting around. I hate the word social distancing. I like physical distancing. You know, I think that social distancing is death to not only to, you know, to a lot of people that are emotionally connected, but I also wanted to touch base on this platform here, but I just wanted to touch base just to Patti for a minute, because I've also heard, Patti, that really large venues like Ellis Island might be attractive to, you know, that party of 200, because they can quarantine the tables, and they can be responsible inside the large. I mean, that's what Jacob Javits is saying, that we're so big, you know, this party that you would normally compact into a small venue, you might need to have a venue of size, and you are a venue of size. So that could be a way that you, Johnny Appleseed, you know, a little bit, you know, promoting the size of your venue a little bit.
No, exactly. When we do start with the marketing campaign for special events again, that was the first thing we have on the list, is the ability for the social distancing and making it easier for you because we have the space.
Yeah, and you know, so when it comes down to these disruptions that have been constant, one of the every disruption also has an opportunity associated with it. You know, social media, for example, has become a platform that has really accelerated. Erica and Patti and, you know, myself and Bill and, you know, Mark, everybody's been using social media, doing podcasts, doing video broadcasts, reaching out, getting connected, because together we are strong, and why we need to take these different perspectives. We're all leaders of this industry, but in our own niche, but here we can come together and we can talk about solutions, and it's all about being the tide that rises all the boats. We all want to see the entire community rise up safely and responsibly. And I want to talk to you, Mark, about your Johnny Appleseed approach to, because I know here we touched on it a little bit. You opened up a whole new market that, you know, wasn't on your radar screen a year ago.
Yeah, one thing I noticed, the common theme that's all being discussed is trust. I view like hospitality, that could be like the new term for hospitality, instead of like service with a smile or having that model waiter and all that. I really see like the trust of the clients are going to have to look for companies that they trust, just like they trust. I'm not a caterer, but I see the food to table concept, right? The farm to table, I'm sorry. And the clients want to know where the food's coming and it's sustained. Well, now they want to know, you know, who's coming into my event space, and quite simply, do they have COVID? Did you take the proper protocols? Is the kitchen being monitored properly? You know, all that stuff's to the forefront. So,
and then you can take all this knowledge and you can expand into almost an infinity of opportunities of small businesses, large businesses that might need that specialty, you know, because they're not the leaders, they're not in the hospitality industry maybe, but maybe need to, you know, open up their own, you know, broaden their horizons with the way that they're looking at these things. So we don't know. There could be all sorts of great opportunities if you're Johnny Appleseeding, if you got the right frame of reference. And I love the word trust. One of my, you know, the CFO of Party Rental, who I have a great amount of respect for, Alan Gottlich, and then we're having a customer review meeting, and he noticed that I was doing really well and during economic challenging times. And he said, Jim, can you show other salespeople, can you teach other people, what are you doing differently? And what I said to him was, it's not what I do, it's who I am. You know, it's what I really believe. It's the core values that we all bring to the table. Danny Myers tried to put it together in his hospitality quotient. You teach people to care, but it seems like everybody on this panel and maybe thousands of people that will see this broadcast, we all care, and it's who we are. Bill mentioned it, you know, the passion of the cater waiter and their dedication to service, and it's hard to teach that stuff, but we all seem to have it in spades. And, you know, I go back to core values, Party Rental does, and we actually have service excellence as one of our top ones, followed by respect, because we live in an age of respect is very important these days. You know, innovation, we've touched on innovation. We talk about safety, that's a core value. One of my favorite ones is integrity, because that's what we all bring to the table, our own personal integrity. And where I'm really excited about being able to spotlight you guys, because you guys are the ambassadors to me. And I have this love and affection for everything events and the people. Just having had the opportunity to collaborate with the creative minds over all these years has been so rewarding, you know. But it is who we are first. And when we transition from corporate responsibility, and they're embracing going green, and then, you know, cultural diversity, and then they're embracing, you know, climate, you know, change, and all these things that are evolving. Social responsibility is coming out in spades right now, in the political world, and what all that means. But I think it all comes down to personal integrity, personal responsibility at the end. And, you know, these are things that make us as leaders in the industry, it's more common. We're not really leading that, really, are we? I think, Patti, you certainly do a really good job of leading the hope and inspiration. But, you know, as far as who we all are and the threads of the hospitality industry, I think we all have it. And I think, and it's there from the dishwasher, you know, straight up to the sommelier and to the great executive chef. I think that Thomas Keller and his Blue Apron philosophy of being able to learn from anybody to make it better. And, you know, it's a community, and I think there's a lot to lose. You know, our community is pretty amazing when people don't take it seriously. You know, we all protect each other, and this is about hitting new highs in with the new norms of guidelines. And, you know, it's not going to stop. And it hasn't stopped you in 30 years, Carl. You know, what's next? You know, I don't know. Bill, you're young and you're leading. Erica, you're young and you're leading. I'm a little bit older. You know,
Me
Mark
too.
is a little bit older. Patti.
I'm young-ish.
I'm like,
Patti,
me
you
too.
look so beautifully and young. But I've been working with Patti for many years. But I want to really circle to the end of this. I want to give you guys the opportunity to sort of put your own, what message do you personally want to send out to the industry, the leaders, the followers, the people that are coming out of college trying to do I want to get involved in the hospitality industry in the class of 2020? Who wants to be in the class of 2020? But you know, I'd like to start. I would like to start with you, Erica. What is your message that you'd like to say to everybody out there in the land of listening?
I mean, certainly to the class of 2020. I mean, I love this industry, and I wouldn't take it back. Obviously, this is a hard chapter we're all in, but at the end of the day, this whole industry is built on such amazing humans with so much heart, so much talent. The key word we've been throwing around is resilience. You know,
Perseverance is another good word.
Resilience. 100%. And, you know, I've also really loved watching Patti and so many people's social media content during this time. And likewise,
You've had some great social media content, and I've
yeah,
heard so much about you. I never knew so much about you. And now, you know,
I'm an
one of the
open book.
things- well, I was so impressed that you were number like one of the 42 on the Jackie Robinson Foundation. Now, what an amazing honor Jackie Robinson was. And, you know, you could, if you want to say what any of that was, but I was so impressed with the humbleness of how you accept accolades. Actually, it's good.
I don't know. And again, I mean, I of course would love to wax poetic about the Jackie Robinson Foundation, which is really important. I hope everyone that's listening goes to Google it, and happy to talk more about that another time. But essentially, I mean, what I was going to say, just to circle back, is especially during this time, but in general with social media, we just try to put the goodness out there, you know, be supportive, be collaborative, amplify other people in the industry, and, you know that it all comes back in a super karmic and, you know, symbiotic.
Karma. Jesus, I wonder what I did so bad in a past life. You know, I say. So, what do you say, Carl? What message would you like to send out to everybody listening to our group here?
Well, I think we've had a number of reoccurring words that have popped up for this, but I think that we have, I'd like to send something out to the industry and to our trusted partners, the trusted people that are here that are going to just own it no matter what. But as we step into doing events, we're going to have guidelines eventually, I hope. And I would hope that everyone that says they're going to do something will do it and help police and take baby steps in monitoring and keeping it a safe environment for us all. keeping our staff safe, keeping the guests safe, and that we have each other's back so we can grow and get events back to where they will eventually, where we knew them to be. But really just, if you're going to say you're going to do something, you're going to agree upon the parameters which have been given to you to do an event, then do them. And watch everyone and help everyone and support all of your trusted partners in that same, so we're all safe on both sides, front of the house and back of the house.
Well, I think that might come through a certification process, because trust me, I don't know if it's going to, work in a lot of places. There's a lot of security, but I do think there is a standard of excellence that we all can achieve. And I believe certify that what we're doing, because what I have to do is different than you have to do. Our protocols for keeping people safe are slightly different. But Bill, I'd love to message to anybody. What would you like to say?
Well, I think, like you alluded to the 900-pound gorilla in the room earlier. And I think, a lot of people have been pressing the panic button and saying events are dead. And, what I would like everybody to lean into is people have been prognosticating about theater dying for hundreds and hundreds of years, whether it was through the radio or through television or now with streaming services. And, I think every time there's a new technology developed or a new platform developed, there's a nostalgia inherently created by that. And human assembly is something that has just been, it's innate. We're social beings. People want to be together. And when we did that dinner party for 25 people, the mother was so excited, and she came into the kitchen at the end of the night and she said, guys, it's going to come back. People want to be together. And I would just say, lean into the hope of it, and also lean into the problem. Become, necessity is the mother of invention. Now's the time to innovate. And it's really easy to sit in the stands and, moan and groan about the game that is no longer being played, as opposed to getting on the field, getting on the court and creating a new game. And I think that, with Carl, with Preti Set Go, with us, with our small dinner package and these barbecue packages we put together to deliver.
And your new corporate direction.
Yeah. And that's just what we have to do. That's just, we could sit and moan and.
You have to do everything you have to do. So I want to tell a little story about special events, and Carl and everybody's going to appreciate this one.
Okay.
Was on a 12th floor penthouse in New York. And guess what? We delivered an 8-foot table that couldn't fit into the elevator. So when you talk about commitment, Bill and his team carrying the 8-foot tables up 12 flights of stairs and down 12 flights of stairs, just so the mother could have that moment of wowness. No one knows what you guys do. Carl knows, Patti knows, Mark knows, Erica knows, I know, because I usually get the call. Hey, can you carry these things up 12 flights of stairs? It's what happens behind the scenes, and it's the effort, and it's the work ethic, it's the commitment to the event. And there is almost, no event, nothing that you really wouldn't do if it was safe and responsible. But I want to go to you, Patti, and ask you, what would you like to send as a message to everybody?
Well, and just to add to the no elevator, I remember Party Rental carrying 800 chairs up. I think it was 3 flights of stairs because of a lack of an elevator. So I mean, that really leads into we do what we need to do to get it done, And I think whether it be a broken elevator, whether it be COVID-19, we're the passion that we have in this industry, the determination. This one obviously is going to take a little more time than a broken elevator, but I think we're the people that will solve it and adapt to make events happen again. Life it's full of celebrations. The celebrations make the life worth living, and we're the people that bring the visions to life. So I
hope now. You're an ambassador of hope and opportunity.
I mean, yes, and I live even to my kids. Be positive. you have to force yourself some days. Other days it may come easier, but to just keep going, don't give up. We we will
And
get
that's
through
what
this
that's
together.
very important to know, that we all have families to take care of, and the last thing that we want to do in an event is bring something home to our.
Right.
So
The,
we
the
take
biggest
this pretty
obstacle I think we're going to
seriously.
have to overcome is fear with this one. The client's fear. We have to
And it's
somehow
a
through our
consumer
relation-
confidence play, but the only way to handle a consumer confidence play is to do it with excellence and just do it right.
and
the first
compassion.
time.
Yeah.
Don't cut the corners. That's
Right.
it's not the time to cut the corners. You can cut your corners somewhere else, but not when it comes to basic protection. So Mark, how about you? What is your message that you'd like to send out to the community?
I'd like to say throw out the word pivot.
Me too.
Social distancing, pivot, new normal, they're all in the can.
Throw it out, and look into yourself or your company, what you're doing, and think like, why am I doing what I'm doing? Why did I start what I started? And try to work from your foundation and build from there. Don't get too crazy. And like Patti was saying, keep the attitude high, the energy level high. There was one point I remember in the beginning of this, I felt like hibernating a little bit, like let's just see how this goes and just kind of hibernate a little bit. That's not the right way to do it. You just got to be out there. You got to be innovating. You got to be
need leadership during these times, and everybody on this panel is a leader, and they're coming at it from different directions. But together, I think that we're gonna make it a better, stronger community, a better, stronger industry. We can do this. We will do this together. We'll do this through strategic partnerships. And my message to the world right now is faith over fear. Don't panic. Do it right. Put some thought into it. Do it responsibly, do it safely, but do it. Do it.
nice.
I want to see Erica doing it and Bill doing it, and everybody, Carl and Patti and Mark and us. I'd like to see us all work together safely, responsibly. And in ending this, I just want to show my gratitude and appreciation for all of your time. You represent leaders, and not everybody may know every one of you in this industry. I'm in a very beautiful position where I know from where I sit, because I handle a lot of the market niches, but I can't thank you enough for your genuineness, your authenticity. The who you are is more important than the what you do, but because of that, what you do is amazing. And I just want to thank you all.
Yeah, thank
you,
you.
Jim.
Thank
Thank you.
you. That was the connector.
Yeah, well, I'm a dot connector, but it's important. It's a nice role to play, and but we all learn from each other. You got the younger, you got age people, you got older people, and it's going to take all of our knowledge, skills, and abilities together and sharing these ideas to survive this. And one of the number one rules of seamanship is to help somebody else out who's having a problem. We have to come to each other's rescue by just being the best we can, being the best what we do in our businesses and our personal lives through integrity, personal responsibility. And so again, I appreciate this, and I'm going to sign off. And I can't wait to do more.